towards other things that you're scared of in some ways, aren't you? But then we see a country where it's forced, and then I see people like you, I think, are just being modest, and then you see women that wear a full burqa, is it called? Yeah. Now I believe there might be genuine cases, but I think some of that is almost saying, I'm proud to be Muslim, I'm going to show myself off to the world. But to me, it's then, are you showing an affiliation with the women that are in countries where they wouldn't even be permitted to dress like you're dressed? Do you know what I mean? Where they're forced. So so if whenever you get something that seems to be false on people, then it seems to make you want to fight against that. So that's why I feel that the burqa's wrong. But saying that, I must admit, obviously I come from a biased point of view, and I do believe we've gone, but both of them are extremes. The way our women dress are extremes. Not every woman, but you know what I'm on about. People mini skirts showing their bust, you know, they're just using themselves as a sexual object. It's wrong, right? And I mean, this lady behind you, she hasn't got a headdress on, but she's still, yeah. So this is nice. But I almost feel that a full burqa, unless there is a genuine, and only the heart, only Allah God knows their heart, if they are wearing it for that reason. But I think if you think that's, and a lot of Englishmen will probably say what I've said, in their heart, they still want to shove two fingers up. But we're going to, you know that, but then there are Muslims who stick two fingers up at English. You know, we have that on all sides, don't we? We have to learn. No. Oh, sorry. I hope you understood what I said, though.
I understand everything, but speaking is a little bit different.
Okay, but you know that I'm coming from the right place.
We understand everything. We respect all religions.
I'll give you a for instance. On here, we often get the sort of like anti-Muslim thing. There's, you know, the verse in the Bible that talks about beating the wife. Now, obviously, it's easy to jump onto that. But then I had it explained to me that it was, I always forget the word, not ceremonial, but something else. You know, 2,000 years ago, or 1,400 years ago, violence was violence. People didn't think it, lots of people would hit people, whatever. So, and there are men that hit women, no matter what nationality you're in. So when they explained to me that verse, you know, it was a procedure. So there was the just talking about it, then there was removing from the bedroom, and then there was this beating. But he said it was more so in other words, yeah, but it was more of a tap type thing. And I thought symbolic, that's the word I was thinking of. So it's symbolic. And I thought to myself, do you know what, that makes sense. Because if you just hit them, that would be the same as everything else. But to do that, suddenly now, the woman, as long as she knows the Quran, she would think to herself, oh, he's told me, he's stopped me from being in the bedroom, and now he's done. That would be more than if he did hit me. Do you know what I mean? So now, like I say, as an Englishman, the way we brought up, we want to see the bad in some things. But like I say, I think it's general because so you want to see the bad in something, and I just feel terrible that you've got on both sides of the fence, you've got Muslims that are exaggerating and falsifying things of Christ.
Like what?
Christians.
No, what do we falsify?
I'm not saying you.
No, you said that we Muslims, we are falsifying.
Well, I've heard you saying, I'm not going to get into it now, well, I'm talking ladies.
Come on.
I'm talking in common sense. You understand what I'm saying?
Excuse me.
Let me finish talking to ladies
Muslim
first.
Falsifying. What are the Muslims falsifying? What did
I say? I said to this lady, there are good and bad in everyone. I'm not saying you, and I'm not saying every Muslim. I'm saying there are some that will take an extreme point and they'll exaggerate an extreme point.
Like what?
I've heard Muslims say that all English women are, I don't want to use the language, tarts, loose.
No.
I'm speaking, okay, you're getting me off the point.
Excuse me.
Anyway, you understand what I'm saying? Yes.
ऐसा बोलने पे यहाँ मैं उधर
You cannot deny that there are cultures where men force women to cover their face with hijab. That's, you know, we're not. It's cultural. But that's
like without.
So they came up with unique
yourself.
phrases. So
In this country, there's been a bit of trouble in some places in the country of grooming gangs. I don't know if you've heard about, and they're often Muslim, but it's more, I think, a cultural thing to do with where they're from as a country. Because in the same, yes, because also we get, if you looked at it, if you, as an example of men abusing younger children, I think that would be more of a white culture. What I'm saying, white, not white, because you'd be white and born in Saudi Arabia. But I would say, if I'm honest, that's more of a problem that our culture has. I don't know why, but if you go like, okay, I'm not saying illegally on the streets here, but they go to countries where they can legally take young children, and I'd say most of those tend to be white. So, like you said, culture is a big thing, and I think we probably find it quite hard to separate culture, especially when you think now that the Muslim religion's gone throughout the world. So you can be born and bred in England, born and bred in Holland, so really now, and the shame this whole world goes to colour of our skin.
So I've got
to me, one thing I believe that, well, even whatever, Islam or Christianity, we go back to Adam and Eve. Now I don't know what colour they were, but I'm saying whatever colour they were, we all come from. So we're all shades of the same colour. And it's only our ignorance that has made us the way we are. And ignorance in time. There are certain things in Hadiths that can sound quite bad, but it was written 1400 years ago when people didn't have the knowledge we have now.
I want to say every scripture, every sentence in the Quran has a context, and I am not able to open the Quran, pick a verse and put a context on that verse. I have to follow the hadith because we are not scholars, so we can explain it.
That would be the difference in Christianity.
Yes.
So we are brought up very much, but we don't do it because a lot of us are too lazy, so we don't read the scriptures. We just listen to what someone has told us, and then we're down to me. So I would say, now in the Bible it often says not to take anything man says, the wisdom of men is nothing. So people talk about your idea of Islamic scholars is different and chains of narration. I'm not on about that, but in a Christian world, a scholar is just somebody who studies the Bible. Now that can be people that are not Christian, but they've studied the Bible, and we shouldn't. As
So
Christians,
if anyone studies the Bible is a scholar?
yeah, most people that go to universities,
So anyone-
Bible university, theological universities, you don't have to be a Christian to go to them and get a degree in it.
No, but what you're saying is you can be a scholar just by studying the Bible.
Yeah.
You're not making sense there.
So you mean
You're not putting things into perspective.
yeah, but the scholars go to reference how the Prophet Muhammad understood it. It's not about how you understand.
Do you know what a scholar means?
Me?
Do you know what the definition of a scholar is?
Well, what do you mean? Biblical or Islamic?
Just give me a standard Oxford dictionary of what a scholar is.
I would say a scholar would be anyone that has studied a subject. You could be a scholar in the English language, you could be a scholar in physics. Scholarly, just not known.
No, but it's more than just having an education. It's a really high level of education.
That
It's not
depends.
just someone who becomes a look.
But
Going
that
to
depends on
university
your instructor.
is what you specialise in.
But it depends on your instructor.
You cannot pick up a hadith.
See, within Islam,
Because of the question, I've asked you what's the definition of a scholar.
I told you exactly what it is.
Yeah, someone who studies different subjects.
Anything, yeah.
Well, I must be a scholar because what, I'm an electrical engineer.
Yeah, well, okay, so, and you'd be a scholar of a certain level. Would you say there are people that know more about electrical engineering than you? Right. So when you go to the pinnacle of the people that teach, that would be the scholars, the people that have lived. Also, I believe it's anyone can be an Islamic scholar if you've studied the Quran long enough and all the different aspects. I mean, the whole idea of hadith is that's a whole complete learning. There's no way I can genuinely talk about a hadith.
You have not, because they would give me a correct definition of what a scholar is.
I've given you mine. No, but I've given you mine.
No, yours is not official.
Well, go on, and what's yours in? What's yours in?
So this whole argument you're having with everybody else is
I'm not having an
baseless.
argument.
No, this debate you're having is baseless because I've asked you a simple question.
We're not even talking about scholars.
What is a definition of a scholar?
And I told you what my definition.
Which
My
is someone who's educated in a particular subject.
Learning on a subject. Scholar doing.
Well, as I said before, and also what I've just googled as well, is someone who studied in a particular subject. Yeah? Someone who's like a professor.
I said that. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Oh, you just said.
No, I didn't. I said like you said you're.
Professor.
No, when
I said to you a high level of education.
you said when you were an electrical engineer, I said, well, you'd be a scholar to a certain.
given you the definition.
I know, and now I'm agreeing with it.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Education.
You're high. No, I said high.
I said to you high.
No, I did.
It's all recorded.
Okay, I said
I
high.
said to you someone who's
no,
highly
well,
educated.
if I came over wrong, because when I was talking about you, I said to you, but you obviously didn't want to hear, I said to you, there are people that teach you, people that are above you, people that are the pinnacle of your subject. I said they would be the scholars. That's exactly what we're saying.
So coming back to my question was, am I right?
And according to that examination,
did you say that it's in people's cultures to abuse young people?
No, what I'm saying is, it is easy, right?
That's why we have scholars.
Religion
But the scholars, they still
goes over cultures. I can be a Christian who's brought up in Pakistan. I can be a Christian who's brought up in China. I can be a Christian who's brought up in Holland. I can be a Muslim brought up in any of these countries as well. So we see you identify yourself as a Christian or Hindu or Muslim, whatever. Right?
Of course, if you pray to God, God will lead you to
One thing here, girl, one thing. This man seems to think, would you say I was talking in nice about Islam? Yeah. In no way was I trying to be horrible or pointing out. So you think you come in at the wrong point and heard the wrong thing said?
What makes you think that's what?
No, because you said I had no right to talk to them. I was talking about a good half hour about lots of things.
Yeah, please don't get things.
But you did say that. You said you had no right. Your whole conversation was bound.
About what? No, I said if that's the way you're arguing with me or debating with me on a, I've given you a simple little question.
I may have come across wrong, but I did say to you, like I said to you, about the pinnacle of your particular.
Yeah. So based on that judgment, based on that small little judgment I made of asking you what the definition of a scholar was, and you did not give me the correct definition.
Well, I did, but I just didn't do it in your way.
It's not my way, my friend. It's not my way. It's the mainstream.
No, but I did mean that exactly. I didn't explain myself well enough to you. But when on the electrical engineering side, you understood me perfect. I said to you, there was people that are above you at the top of their field of knowledge. No, I know. So, I said to you at the time, I said, will you be to a certain level? And I said, then the people that are pinnacles and all that, the best, they would be called the scholars. So that's exactly what you're saying. I may not have described it properly in the way you saw, but I meant it properly.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you haven't. Well,
now, when we go to culture, right? Yeah. So now you identify as a Muslim, I think. I would identify myself as a Christian. But there are also other things, like the lady has said.
It's very interesting what you just said. You identify yourself as a Christian.
Yeah.
Now, do you follow the scriptures? The New Testament, Old Testament? You accept them as Word of God?
Everything, the Word of God.
Okay, now obviously Jesus Christ is who you follow. Yeah? You follow his teachings, right? Now, did he ever say to you, did he ever call you to Christianity? Did he ever say, or any reference in the Bible that states, this is my way of life, it's called Christianity, I need you to accept it, so therefore you will now be called Christians? Or is this something that just came from a later date?
Yeah, Christianity is not in the Bible at all.
I know.
And I believe
so
Christianity
how this terminology, how could you call yourself a Christian?
Well, because
Who has the authority to call to label people?
people
call
will
it
put
a
themselves
religion.
into a group. But Christianity, I don't agree with. I think all Christianity is man-made.
Well, there you go. It's kind of like it's
But
a
I would
paradox.
say I'm a Christian,
Because
not
now-
Christianity.
Well, Christian and Christianity is the same
Bit
thing.
different to me.
Yeah.
And that's my
Being a
belief,
Chris-
so you can't tell me what my
No, I'm
belief is.
saying, well, Christianity
Entirely
is
different.
derived from the word Christian.
Might be, I agree with that, but they're not. It doesn't mean the same to me. It's not.
Christianity is the name of the faith.
No,
Right?
it's not.
Someone
no,
who
no,
follows
no.
Christ.
No, but Christianity, you say the faith, it's not, because you
the
can
name
have
of the faith.
no, you'll have Roman Catholics, Mormons, the
are different-
Jehovah Witnesses.
they are
They would call themselves Christianity, right?
Yeah, because they are
but they're
different
not.
All of them is Christians.
They would call themselves Christians, but no, I don't. They're not Christians. Most Christians aren't Christians. The Church of England aren't Christians. I'm not about the people that go. I'm not about the teachers.
Well, just like every other major religion, Islam ain't no different either. Every major religion has their own conflicts, own groups, sects.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Christianity
So-
is man-made. To
Well,
be a
if you're-
Christian, you have to follow just what Christ taught, and the scriptures left with the Spirit afterwards.
You know, religion is such a big subject, and we can go on forever. Well, what I like to sort of discuss normally when I encounter Christians is the concepts of God. Now, do you believe in one God?
100%.
Please explain to me the concept of the unity of one God.
Well, I don't believe as the Trinity, because
Okay.
the Trinity comes again. Right, God is my teacher. God knows best. So, who's a better teacher than God? No one. If God, in explaining what people have come to think the Trinity is,
Yeah.
wanted to call it Trinity, he'd have called it a Trinity.
True.
So that is I believe in a good heart. They saw lots of division, lots of not fully understanding. So what they did was they come up with this stringent thing, called it the Trinity, and then they said believe in this or nothing.
Well, you know what really happened is when Christianity was spreading, yeah, at the time of the Roman Empire being in power, a superpower in that region or around the planet, should we say, is that they couldn't stop Christianity because it was just spreading. Yeah, would you agree with me?
I know where you come from.
Yeah. And this whole Trinity doctrine, which came from Paul, who
No, I don't
apparently,
believe that at all.
which is historical facts, basically.
Well, I don't believe that.
Yeah. And Christianity came into.
And I would say it's not a fact. Go on.
Well, it's history. It's documented.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I've only got. I told you, my Bible
Yeah.
is my teacher, and not historians, not anything.
Well, to understand today, you need to understand history.
No,
Yeah.
no, I disagree.
And how Christianity came into the Trinity
agree.
doctrine was through Paul and through
Yeah,
the
but it
Roman
wasn't- no, it wasn't.
and through the Roman
You're missing the
Empire.
one big thing, right? So
Through the Romans.
No, but Christianity, from the very, very first Christians, they believed in a form of the Trinity. There was also some that didn't. Some didn't even think Jesus was God. Right. So now what happened is, the biggest thing you're missing out is that it was only when Rome accepted Christianity as their main religion. After that, that's when the church got together and they did their councils, and that's when they put the doctrine of the Trinity out, because before it was accepted, Rome was killing Christians.
Yeah, absolutely,
So no one could come out and sit in a big meeting to agree on something like that. So it's got nothing to do with 300, 400 years after, it's got to do with when it was accepted. And I do agree with you.
And so do I agree with you. So what was happening is, because they couldn't stop Christian, because it was spreading, right, the Romans, they basically
You know,
embraced.
but there was one, I don't know, it's not my hot subject, there was one Caesar who, he was in a war, and he prayed to God and he won, and that made him say, right, we'll accept it. So there's more in it. But I do agree with what I feel was happened is the Christians at the time,
They exploited the religion.
yeah, the Christians at the time, then what they did is they've been beaten, they've been killed, they've been harassed all these years, and suddenly their biggest enemy was saying, we love you, we'll accept you.
Yeah.
But Rome was a structured thing. They had 100 men, had one centurion, blah blah blah. So they tried to bring that structure culture into Christianity. And even now, the bishop's hat, the mitre hat, that is exactly the same as what some of the Roman leaders would wear. Exactly the same. So what they did is, I'm agreeing with you, they suddenly, people accepted it because it's better than being killed, but then they didn't want it to be like it was, they wanted to control it.
Well,
so yeah, we'll have a pope in charge, we'll have this and this and this.
And also incorporating the Roman pagan beliefs. Why people worship God on a Sunday.
Oh,
the Sunday,
yeah, no.
as we know, came from the Roman era.
No, I don't believe that.
Because the Sabbath day is not on a Sunday.
No, I believe that.
The Sabbath is on a Saturday.
I know the Roman
according
Catholic
to
Church
scriptures.
officially changed the day, which is wrong. It's heresy. Which is never done. But, and I agree with you, the Romans, because they had a pagan celebration at Christmas, they adopted that as the day of his birth. So they mixed the pagans in with the Christians. Easter the same. Easter was a pagan festival. They mixed the two in together, and a lot of them did come from pagan. Well, not the idea of Christmas didn't come from pagan, but to celebrate on the same days did. In Christ, there's no following for his birthday. I can't see there being. I think it's been abused. It shouldn't be, but that's my personal opinion. What I'm saying is that if you, as a Christian, you understand fully that December the 25th is not Christ's birthday, that you're just using that day to celebrate his birthday, and you do celebrate his birthday, which means celebrate him, but they don't. Now it's just about giving presents.
You're always all commercial now.
The tree is a pagan symbol. There's lots of symbols in Easter. There's a lot of symbols in Easter that come from paganism. But what we're saying, but the Sunday for a day of worship does not come from Rome.
Where does that come from? It's a pagan. It comes from pagan.
No. Roman Catholic
Sunday worship the sun god.
Yeah, no, but the Sunday they named the days. The naming of the days came later. The first day of the week was the last day of the week.
Why is the Sabbath for modern Christianity on a Sunday?
I wouldn't say it is. The Sabbath is a Saturday.
On a Sunday.
The Lord's Day. It's different. The Lord's Day, right. Okay, so in the Old Testament, in creation, you have God.
Because he rested the 6th day.
Wait, no, he rested on the 7th day. Right. So he now has had 6 days, he rests on the 7th. So he has said, keep the 7th day separate and holy. That's all he said. Right. So I believe there, the principle is that 1 in 7 you keep special and holy. Now, for man made on the 6th day. So his first day would have been the Sunday, which is our last day now. So it wouldn't have been his last day of the week anyway, or first day of the week. Then we have the law as given to Moses and Israel, which was the Sabbath, and it's for the Israelites and only the Israelites. I believe as a Christian, there's no Sabbath whatsoever, but the principle of having 1 day in 7 special is there. Now, Jesus, I know you don't believe, Jesus resurrected on the Sunday. All the early fathers met on the Sunday, Ascension Day, all these things happened on the Sunday, breaking bread with people on a Sunday. So it's just become common practice. A Christian is told to every day should be the same, but it's become common practice that if we all meet together, it's easier to meet together on one day than to 5 people on a Friday, 5 people on a Tuesday, 5 people on a Wednesday. So it comes together, but in no way was the Sabbath. I know the Roman Catholic Church has, but in no way they've got any right to change the Sabbath day from a Saturday to a Sunday. Sabbath day is a Saturday. It's written in the law, and it's for the Israelites. Well, it's the Old Testament. The Old Testament's gone. But for us, the reason to hold 1 day special goes back to creation. It doesn't name any of the days, just 1 day in 7.
Well, nice chatting to you, yeah? The best.